This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz, and I'm so excited to be speaking with Hamish Linklater about Manhunt. How are you, Hamish?
Very well, thank you.
Can you tell me what your childhood memories of learning about Abraham Lincoln were?
Oh my gosh. Curiously, I realized I got into this story more from the assassins side of things. I was given a book called The Prince of Players about Edwin Booth, who was John Wilkes Booth's older, much more famous brother. Um, when I was, I think, in high school. I mean, of course, I knew as much as one does in high school about Abraham Lincoln, about the Civil War. But I had grown up in this theater company, and one of the actors there were like, "Oh, you might be curious about this." It's a crazy, crazy family, the Booths.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really interesting and unexpected way into this because most people are like, I didn't know much about Booth, but of course I know Lincoln.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, Lincoln is, I think, uh, probably, the greatest American. He's top five great American. I'll give you him and Martin Luther King Jr., and then you can fill in the next three if you like. Um, it was uh, it was such an impossible and exciting opportunity to play truly an American god, and also then a personal hero too. Um, uh, yeah, I don't know. I get very emotional thinking about him, um, and 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 what he meant and what he continues to mean.
Well, I'll be honest, when I was watching the show, I didn't know much about it from the start, and I was surprised when I heard Lincoln speaking, and then, like, halfway through one of his sentences, I was like, "Oh, that's Hamish Linklater." I didn't realize at first that I think he sort of, became the role in a lot of ways, but I also think there's a certain physique and sort of physical presence that Lincoln conjures. Maybe a lot of it is Daniel Day-Lewis, right? That, associating that, but also just that he's one of the most recognizable dead people, I think, in America is probably a fair way to put it, right?
Right, he's on a lot of currency. We've got him on the five, we've got him on the penny, we've got him on Mount Rushmore. He's certainly, uh, he's got an iconic profile and gait, certainly in the imagination, um, and and also in what we have. But but dipping into the research, or rather drowning oneself in the research about how he actually moved, how he actually spoke, uh, he's a surprising figure. I think probably like a lot of politicians, I think he had a public and a private way of moving in the world, um, and certainly that voice, uh, a lot of the contemporaneous writing about how he sounded, you have to sort of ask, was this written by a friend of Lincoln, or someone who was annoyed with him? But that sort of higher pitched tone, um, it makes sense if you think that he had to fill, I mean, the mall at Washington. He had to fill these massive spaces, and to have this sort of like nasal resonator, this uh, 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 instrument that could fill that space, uh, that sounded right. That sounded, and the descriptions of the Douglas Lincoln debates with Douglas, with this sort of uh, basso profundo voice, where you lose a lot of subject matter actually when your voice is that low, but tinned up like that, it makes sense that Lincoln won. Also, he was saying the right things and was on the correct side of history.
And what was the physical process of transformation in terms of, hair, makeup, prosthetics, anything like?
Uh, Vincent Van Dyke designed the gorgeous prosthetics that took about 3 hours to put on each day, and wonderful hair and beard and goatee, and then huge riding boots. He wore riding boots every day, even just for walking around. Uh, and all of that, all of that informs you. And also, it was drafty, so he had that shawl. Um, anyway, it, it was. I also had lovely coaches helping me, sort of doing a lot of the imaginative work uh, for me on top of the research, to build the guy.
Have you read anything from audiences or Lincoln devotees about how they felt about your performance?
Well, I mean, the one person I really cared about was James Swanson, who wrote the book Manhunt, and I got a pass from him, so uh, that was really lucky.
You share a lot of your scenes with Tobias Menzies. What was it like working with him? What was your impression of him beforehand?
Uh, well, I was a huge fan of his, of course, as a viewer, of The Crown and a bunch of other stuff. We got the wonderful movie he did with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, um, and You Hurt My Feelings. He's just like he's magnificent, and he's so calm and centered too. Um, when you're in a scene with him, and he's very generous listening. So I don't know, man. I was really lucky to have him.
It seems like you have a knack recently for appearing in some very memorable limited series like Gaslight, Angeline, Midnight Mass. Do you like the opportunity to target tackle a character for a short, sort of confined period of time, or do you prefer the opportunity to sort of dig in more over the course of a few seasons?
Those jobs are great jobs, and yeah, I have no preference. I mean, for anything, I just go where I'm asked to show up. Uh, but And then have sort of like uh, rich and wild romance with whatever character I to get to play, um, for however long they ask me to do it.
Well, I think what I associate you with most, early on is the new adventures of old Christine, which is a curious thing because it's not like a lot of what you do now, and it's certainly not what Julia Louis-Dreyfus is known for after Veep. The idea of her appearing on a, network sitcom where she wasn't able to swear every single line is quite strange. What fond memories do you have of that show, and how do you think that relates to what you've done since?
I remember her swearing a lot. Uh, no, that was like such a great. That was like going to comedy grad school and having like, the dean of the department show you all the. I mean, she just would like whip open her jacket and be like, "There's this, there's this, there's this, all these amazing tools and tricks," and then she's just inside of all that technical wizardry is actually just the most magical human uh, to be with. Those very very lucky 5 years yeah, spent with her.
One of my favorite projects of yours is a show that I wish people talked about more. I know that Marvel is like blowing up now with the MCU, but there's little better in my mind than Legion, especially season one. Also because it's not really like Marvel heavy, but it's just the way it looks at the world and superpowers and all that is just so fascinating. Was it as much of a head trip to be part of that show as watching the show must have felt?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, totally like uh, being like a twig in a rushing torrent of Noah Hawley madness. I mean, you just get thrown all over the place, but it's nice. I think if you enjoy saying, yes, what else? As an actor, he's just absolutely the writer you want to float away with. Um, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. I did talk him into bringing my character back because I was just in the pilot, and I was like, but no, are you really sure I died? I mean, I did. Yes, the room I was in exploded into flame, and yes, I did fall into that pool. You know, maybe I got half extinguished. And he was like, no, I'm pretty sure you're dead. And then at the end of the season, he called up and he's like, well, maybe you're a little bit alive. And I was so lucky. Uh, well, that I advocated for my guy. And Noah said, why not?
I'm picturing the face and just the still being alive definitely feels like barely having survived, but still around to cause some chaos.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really, really lovely opportunity.
Well, looking up your credits, I saw that you also have a film that you co-directed with Lily Rabe that is coming out next week, right?
Yeah, Downtown Owl, coming out. You can rent it, you can buy it, Amazon, Apple, all of those wonderful places. It stars Henry Golding, Ed Harris, Vanessa Hudgens, wonderful cast, and yeah, we made a movie.
Is
It's
there
really beautiful. We're incredibly proud of it. And yeah, we can't wait for people to get a chance to see it.
was there anything that surprised you about being behind the camera and coming at things from that side of the process?
Well, yeah, I mean, people typically tell you, don't make a movie, especially your first movie, with someone you have children with, and we had actually just Lily had just given birth to our third kid, and 2 weeks before cameras started rolling on the movie. I don't know. It's like the that level of degree of difficulty, that bar. I don't know how many times it's been vaulted over before, by her especially, as she's like in basically every frame of the movie. Um, and then shooting in Minnesota in March. It was cold, um, but it really became such a celebration. Uh, um, it was just it was wonderful experience.
We love awards here at Awards Buzz, and I'm curious if there's anything that you watch, any show or performance that you feel is particularly awards worthy at the moment.
Oh my God, I'm just so blown away by absolutely everything I see. It's so hard. Uh, well, it's not so hard. It's so wonderful, to be an actor or someone who writes and directs things, and it's just like I I just get thrilled. I get thrilled time and time again when I turn on our little box when the children have finally gone to sleep, and you just see so much wonderful work out there. Um, and if I had to name a single title or actor, I would have gotten more sleep last
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, thank you so much, Hamish. It was a pleasure to speak with you, and I wish you plenty of luck in the future.
night. Gosh, thank you, Abe, so much. From one Abe to another.